Hurricane Jerry is strengthening in the Atlantic. I'm Mike Naso with this evening update on the tropics. Hurricane Jerry, now a Category 2 hurricane. Even though it doesn't look like it on satellite, the Air Force flew out there and said, yep, winds are up to 105 miles an hour. It's a Category 2 moving west-northwest at 16. It's at 18.0 north, 57.2 west. Hurricane Jerry. You can see we do have those tropical storm watches in effect for some of the northern Caribbean islands, with the expectation that Hurricane Jerry will move kind of close to them tomorrow, but it will pass to the north, and that's very good news for the islands. And it's going to eventually get a kick right out to sea, but Bermuda, you just got hit hard by Umberto yesterday. You could be in the crosshairs of Jerry by Monday, Tuesday of next week. Again, if you live in the Northern Islands or the Turks and Caicos, keep an eye on Jerry, just because right now it's a pretty potent hurricane. 105 miles an hour is a mid-range Category 2. Again, you'd never know it looking at satellite. This satellite imagery looks more like maybe a minimal Category 1, 80, 90 miles an hour. No idea that it's a mid-range Category 2. Look how it's flat on that northwest side there. But the Air Force is zigzagging around, and they recorded those winds, so looks can be deceiving. Right in here is the eye of Hurricane Jerry, and it is strengthening, at least holding its own. It won't strengthen for long. You can see this wind shear headed right towards it, and that's very unfavorable. It's flattened out here. Not a good-looking environment for a strengthening hurricane. And thankfully, the islands are here. Barbuda in here. You guys got hit 2 years ago this month by Category 5 Hurricane Irma. Remember when Irma's eye went right over Barbuda? Crazy. This is nothing like Irma, and it's going to pass to the north, but still, Hurricane Jerry, a Cat 2 hurricane spinning in the Atlantic. You can see the consensus is that this system's going to make that turn out, but Bermuda, you are right in all these models about 4 or 5 days from now. So if you have those shutters up from Umberto, don't take them down yet, just in case you need them up again for Jerry. Again, if you do live in those islands of the Bahamas and the Northern Caribbean, like I said, keep an eye on it. But again, it looks like even if Jerry moves on the southern edge of this, it should avoid the Bahamas and the east coast of the U.S. Some swells are possible, though, especially if Jerry expands in size later on in the forecast period. You can see the reason Jerry's not going to strengthen much anymore is this 25-30 knots of upper-level wind shear. So when the hurricane tries to build up those clouds, it just gets ripped apart. And Jerry's right on the edge of good shear to the south and bad shear to the north. And it looks like the bad shear is going to win. Jerry's going to move right into it. But later on, it could get stronger. Unfortunately, by that point, it might be headed towards Bermuda. Here are the rain rates out in the Atlantic Basin. You can see heavy rain with our tropical wave over areas of the Dominican Republic, heavy rain with our Hurricane Jerry, and look at over eastern Texas. Tropical storm Imelda has dumped so much rain. It's not the record for the country as far as hurricanes or tropical storms go, but it's up there in the top 5. Look at this chart. This is the National Forecasting Chart from the Weather Prediction Center. And look at right here, you can see obviously heavy rain and flooding with what's left of Imelda, although we have this front moving through the west. Eventually it'll get kicked on out, it looks like, but it is not doing it anytime soon. You can see day 2, day 3, we're still going to be finally seeing Imelda push out. You can see Jerry comes up too on the right-hand side there, but we have just too much troughiness moving through the Midwest to let Jerry get close to the East Coast, which is very good news. If this troughiness wasn't here, yeah, we'd have another situation in the Bahamas and Florida. I'm not going to name that storm. I said that name enough last month. Look at this radar imagery out of the Houston, Galveston, Texas radar. Just constant rain. It finally looks like it subsided a bit, but the videos are very bad of flooding. And you got to remember, we're living in a time of social media. People think this doesn't happen. BS. When I was 12, 13 years old, Tropical Storm Allison came into Houston, Galveston, June 2001, and then it stalled. It dropped over 40 inches of rain in Houston. There was bad flooding. They did all the Weather Channel storm stories about it, so don't tell me this doesn't happen. But when it happens, it's bad. And the rainfall's still there in areas of, say, Cameron Parish, Louisiana, and right near the border. Beaumont, you've gotten hit very, very hard with flooding. Look at these rain rates. It's been crazy. Louisiana, you've gotten some, obviously, Lake Charles and all that, but it's really been in Texas. North Fork Taylor's Bayou, 43.35 inches. Mayhaw Bayou at Brush Island Road, 42.64 inches. Green Pond Gully, 40 inches. 40 inches of rain. Now, this is Monday through Thursday, but still, that is a lot of rainfall, and most of it's fallen within the last 48 hours. You can see areas there like Pine Island Bayou, 25 inches. Beaumont Port Arthur Airport, 20 inches. They finally started flights again at Bush Intercontinental down in Houston. They recorded 11 inches of rain. Just really, really bad rainfall and flooding. And this is all because of what was literally a tropical storm that popped up for 5 minutes. So remember, when it comes to hurricanes, motion doesn't really matter, but size doesn't matter either. It's all about the factors going into it. You could have a storm that's really big, moving fast. You could have a storm that's really small, moving slow. A weak storm, a strong storm. In this case, we had a weak storm, moving slow, dumping rain. So size doesn't matter, motion does. We'll get into that in another video. So in the final analysis, Umberto, he's out of here. Extratropical, no longer a hurricane. Jerry, Category 2 hurricane, but you can see there's just too much troughiness in front of it for it to strengthen or get anywhere close to the U.S. So Jerry, gonna miss the islands to the north, but it could impact Bermuda later on. We have a tropical wave down here that could become a feature for the Caribbean, and a much better chance is a wave that's still over Africa. Most of the models make it a hurricane somewhere in the vicinity of near where Jerry is about a week from now. Obviously, you can see Imelda's flooding over Texas, and what was Hurricane Lorena moving back offshore, headed for the Baja in the eastern Pacific. So, a lot going on in the tropics, and it ain't over yet. I'm Mike Naso. I'll talk to you guys next time with more on the tropics.